I want to change up the classic steak sandwich by serving it with a really vibrant and fresh salsa. This one has tarragon and cashews in it. It is divine. And instead of using classic minute steaks for this, I'm going to be using some skirt steak. And you can tell it's skirt steak just by looking at it. You can see the fibres in the meat go one way. That's a distinct feature of a skirt steak. Now, I'm going to preheat my grill, and to speed this up, I'm going to press the searing function. By doing this, we're going to get this grill really hot, so it'll take no time at all to cook our meat. It's also incredibly intelligent, so it's going to measure the actual thickness of the meat, so it's going to cook it exactly the way I like it. While it's heating up though, I'm going to warm up my bread. So this is classic ciabatta bread. I'll add some extra virgin olive oil just to this bowl, and with a brush, just brush it all over. And this actually works better with bread that's not so fresh. So ideally, get your bread a day or two before making this. All right, in it goes. Now, while that's warming through, let's prepare our salsa. In a jug, I'll add 1 clove of garlic, good hit of garlic, along with some Dijon mustard. Whenever I'm blending in a jug like this, I like to add majority of the liquids at the beginning because it's just going to blend much easier. A good glug of extra virgin olive oil, say about 2-3 tablespoons to start with. And then our cashews. Now, you'll notice that I've placed the cashews in some water. I do this because I want to soften them. If you add them straight away, totally fine, but you won't get a really smooth texture. I want this to be very smooth. So just leave them in the water for about 20 minutes and they will soften. If the sauce is too thick, just use some of this water, so don't throw it out at this stage. Some vinegar and tarragon. Tarragon has that aniseed flavour, really fresh flavour. Quite traditional in a lot of French recipes. I think that's why I love it so much. If you don't want to use tarragon or you can't find it, no worries. This works just as well with parsley, or even basil works a treat too. And some spinach, just baby leaves. I'll give that a good blend. All right, that's looking good. Doesn't need any more liquid. Have to have a taste. So good, tangy. You can taste the tarragon, that mustard, just perfect. It's gonna go really nicely with our steak. Speaking of steak, let's get this prepared. We're gonna take our ciabatta out. And this grill is nice and hot now, so we can get our steak ready. I've brought it out of the fridge an hour ago. As usual, just a splash of olive oil and lots of pepper for this. See how coarse that pepper is? I like that. It gives this steak a really nice flavour. Just going to rub that in. Some salt, good pinch of salt always. And we'll just turn that in the oil so it's coated on each side. Not swimming in oil, just lightly coated. While I'm doing that, I like to add some onions to my steak sandwich. So just 1 onion, and we're going to cut them into thick rounds, about the same thickness as the steak, so it cooks in the same amount of time. So let's go 4 rounds. Cut that little bit off. And we'll pop that on the same plate as our steak. So nice and hot. Yep. Steak goes on first, and listen to this sizzle. That's what we're after. Our onions. And this is where this grill gets so cool. We'll pop the lid on, and you can actually see that the thickness of the steak is being calculated, and then it starts to cook it to your liking. So we'll just finish cooking that off, and then it's as simple as putting this steak sandwich together. Too easy. Okay, the skirt steak has come out. I've allowed it to rest. We can take the onions off now. Look at those char marks. That's what we want, that smoky flavour. And as you take them off, you'll see that the onions can separate quite nicely. Perfectly cooked. It cooks in moments because the grill is so hot. Okay, to assemble this, the ciabatta, I'm going to cut that in half. You can see how thin it is, and this is exactly how I want it. I never like a steak sandwich with the bread being too thick, so nice and thin and crispy. We'll open that up. We'll add a generous amount of mayonnaise to one side and our Tarragon Salsa to the other. I'll say about 2 tablespoons worth. Look at that vibrant colour. Love it. A small bed of spinach, and the steak goes on next. That's been resting. And because the fibres go this way on the steak, you want to cut it against the grain. So we're going to go this way. We're going to cut it nice and fine, not too thick. And just have a look how perfectly cooked that is. Nice and juicy in the centre. That's how I like it. Okay. And spread that out. Lots of the onions on top and good old tomato for a pop of colour. And whenever I'm adding tomato to a sandwich like this, always season it with salt and pepper. You can't compare the difference. And some pepper. And this sandwich is good to go. We'll pop the top on, sandwich it, and then onto the board. Yum-o. I love a good steak sandwich. Yes, it's fantastic just with tomato sauce and mayonnaise, but with this tarragon salsa, it really takes it to the next level.